Okay, welcome back, everybody. So we're just going to get started now with lighting. If you haven't watched the previous video, I recommend you checking it out. Um, so just remember, as you're placing your cameras, remember the far side key. Um, Far side key is basically the idea that lighting always looks better when the shadows are coming towards camera. So like in this example here, you can see that the shadows are coming towards us and we see the shadows on her face. If the shadows were going the other way on the other side of her face, we wouldn't really see them and it would just be pretty flat because we would just see this side of her face that would be illuminated all the same shade. And so Far Side Key ends up helping us understand that there is that this, even though we're looking at a two-dimensional image, that we are in a three-dimensional space. So it just creates depth. And so as you're placing your cameras, you just kind of want to think about lighting in that regards. And so kind of comes with that is just to don't put lighting in a bad situation. Um, if as soon as you frame up a shot, you have to light it. So um, just like an example of a quote unquote bad situation is like if you are shooting down a narrow hallway or something like that, and there's no windows, there's no space, you don't have any practicals or anything, and you put the actor up against the wall at the end of the hallway. Just like that sounds like a very difficult situation to light because you're kind of forced to light from the camera's perspective. So you can't really, get that far side key in or anything like that. Maybe it maybe it works for the scene, but it's just like, or for the story, but just have to kind of think about those things. Um, the other thing too is as you're blocking is just consider matching. If you're shooting like a very long scene um, that takes place outside, then maybe you don't want to start. Maybe you're starting that scene in the middle of the day or something like that. Maybe you don't want to start with the wide shot. Maybe you want to start with your close-ups and medium shots that are easier for you to manipulate with the tools that you have, like maybe a 12 by 12 overhead or something like that. And then at the end of the day, when the light is much nicer and the sun is lower, then you could shoot the wide out at the end of the day. Um, as a gaffer, I think it's always good just to, when they're doing a blocking rehearsal, just to watch where the director and the DP go. Usually, as they're blocking out the scene, they're figuring out where things are going, where the people are going, where the cameras are going. They're going to walk over to the spot where they think the camera should go. So if you see them going and talking, over on one side of the room, you can think, okay, well, if they're over there, then I would have to key from over here, and that would mean I need to have these lights ready or something like that. So it can just help to prepare you a little bit. If you're shooting multiple cameras, um, a good idea is to always place the A camera first. Um, the issue that that you'll end up with here is that say you kind of set A cam and then you like, okay, I think it's kind of good, and then you set the B camera down, um, and with the B camera you start to move the A camera because it's in the B camera shot. Um, what ends up happening is now A camera is forced out of its position and it can't get the great shot that it had before. And so then A camera tries to work back in, and then B camera is like, you end up chasing your tail, as it says in this slide. So um, it's just good practice to let there be some sort of hierarchy with your cameras. Set the A camera, set the frame, and then after you've done that, place the B camera and don't don't move anything with the A camera unless you can make it work for both of you guys. So if it's not like B camera can't move anything, but it's just that if it makes the A camera's shot worse, it should probably not be done, and B camera should just figure out a way around it. It's definitely ideal to not shoot too wide and too tight. So if you have this huge wide shot on A camera, big wide with a 12 millimeter lens or something like that, and you're trying to work in the B camera somewhere but can't find anything, and you think, oh, maybe let's put 100 mil on the B camera and we'll shoot this close up at the same time. You're going to end up compromising your lighting quite a bit because now you can't really finesse anything for the close up, and then you also are not going to be able to capture very good sound because now the sound mixer has to keep their mics far out of the shot to keep clear for the 12 millimeter shot. So try and keep your shot sizes relatively similar. Cross coverage is when you shoot two sides of the coverage at once, and so it can be really helpful, especially like comedy or maybe for dramas as well or something, but especially for comedy because the actors like to be able to improv, and so you could have multiple sides of a scene covered at once so that improv all cuts together. And while it can be helpful, it can also be not helpful. It's difficult to light cross coverage and requires a lot of rigging. If you're on stage and everything, you have a grid and everything, it's really not too bad, but if you're on location and now all of your lights need to be rigged to prevent you from seeing everything, it could just add a lot more time and might be more worthwhile to just shoot only looking one direction with multiple cameras instead of doing cross coverage. Also a good idea to try and steal inserts with your BNC cameras. So just like an example is say you have A and B covering a medium shot and close up of somebody in coverage, and at the top of the scene they come in and pick up a notepad, and you wanted to get an insert of the notepad being picked up. What you would do then is you would have A stay on the wider shot, and then in the beginning of the scene you would have B camera start tilted down at the notepad, have them pick it up, let it exit frame, and then have the B camera tilt up into their close up. So they're basically getting two shots at once, and just when you can do that, it's pretty helpful and it makes things go a little bit quicker. For the shot. 180 degree roll. So this is basically just talking about the where to place your cameras to maintain some sort of visual continuity and let the viewers understand where they are in the scene. Basically, draw a line between the characters and keep your camera on one side of it. I like the idea of thinking that it's like somebody's head turning in the room, and as long as you stay from their viewpoint, then it'll make sense. You can cross the line as long as you show the line cross happening. So if you start, say this was handheld or something, and you're looking at this actor right here, and your camera's here, you can cross the line as long as you move the camera to the other side of the line in the shot. If you show that happening, then you could cut to another shot from the other side, looking at the other actor, and that would totally cut, and make sense to the viewer. The line crosses totally help to like heighten the scene. Just like an example I can think of is like, you know, a movie like Ocean's 11 probably has a lot of line crosses in it. Just makes it feel like slick, basically. Yeah, and at the same time, don't be afraid to break it. There's no rules, only tools. Um, just because crossing the line is confusing to the viewer, it doesn't really mean that that is a problem. It just means that it's an effect, and you need to know how to use that. So I actually have a really good example here. I'll close some of my tabs here. All right. So this is just a scene from The Founder where he first goes to McDonald's. Okay, it's coming up here. Okay, there it is. It shows you one more time just so we understand it. But so they start on this side of the line, and then they cut to the other side of the line, and it's kind of confusing. You're like, what just happened? But I think it's a really good demonstration that like crossing the line can be helpful for making the viewers feel something. And in The Founder, like he is obviously so confused as to about this dining experience, and so they show that with the line cross. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I have talk more about placing the camera in a second, but that's the end of this video.